Welcome back to the channel, guys. You're joined by Rob, Joe, and Scott. Martyn Lee's in, some of the players are signed, and we're just going to have a little discussion today about where is that Bearford pre-season. Welcome, chaps. So, straight into the main point then. It's a new football club with a new set of players, new to a town, basically. Everything's new. We've not had a pre-season as such. What are your thoughts on that? It's a pretty bizarre one, isn't it?
It's strange, isn't it? You'd think they want the pre-season beforehand so they can, get a few people invested, get people going on it. But, is there some thought behind the process, a bit of an idea behind the madness in terms of trying to piece things together behind the scenes before we get to see it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one, isn't it? I think, I know we had those what we call them warm-up games before where some of the trialists were playing. I guess we did play some other teams, but it's behind closed doors. Not even sure the results were properly sort of communicated or anything like that. So we don't really know what went on, any lines or anything really. Joe, surely this is a bit of a, I don't know if this is on purpose or what, but is this a bit of a fumble? Because for me, it's we want to see the squad in action or these new players in action. What?
Well, we need to look at the manager, really, Martyn Lee. Is he some sort of footballing enigma? What is his master plan? Maybe he's out there making the new Pep Guardiola type football, his new style sort of thing that he doesn't want anyone to see until the first day. Maybe the players are getting a bit tired from the intense sessions. Is it a little bit too brutal, the old disciplinarian Jose Mourinho style management? I don't really know. So it's...
The only danger for me is we're talking, remember, we're amateur football here, properly amateur. I don't even know if the lads train together. There can't be many sessions, can there? So outside of those training sessions, we've had 6 new signings come in, 6 players leave, 7 players now with with the captain. We'll talk on that in a bit. I've mentioned them in the last video. We don't know much about them. The manager will know more, obviously, but even he can't know loads about them. So I don't want to be going over the top here with it being where it is in the pyramid. But it's a new football club. These lads have never played together before outside of some warm-up games, of which 6 of those players are different now. And it's fair to say, at least from what little we know, we haven't got a huge pool of players. There's definitely going to be additions to the squad. So maybe that's a thought. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a case of the team isn't going to be the team in 2 or 3 weeks anyway. But not having any friendlies, you think we've got this stadium and this excitement. You get a bit of gate money, surely. Again, it's level 20, and just because it's a new project, I don't expect the whole of Bearford to be coming out. I know there's some skepticism around that. It's just going to be the core trust and stuff. But you think they'd have you think they'd want people in and around it and get some excitement, wouldn't you? What do you reckon, Scott? Is Joe right? Is it some managerial thing, or is someone cocked up logistics here, or have we had some friendlies that have pulled out and we haven't rearranged them, or have we just been caught short here?
Is it just something as simple as a logistics thing? Everything's new. It's not, it's all being pieced together behind the scenes, ready for this first season. So, is it something as basic as they just haven't got volunteers to, be there on the day? Logistically, they just can't. They can't have people at the games. Is it something as basic as that? Which, if we're being honest, is probably a lot easier to take than everything being sort of hush secret behind closed doors.
It is, and I don't want to be negative, pushing here, but we go away then, go and do some away friendly. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be. Doesn't matter who. It's not. There's no shortage of clubs. I don't know. Will it be a big deal? Probably not, because I think it's not just going to be us at this level where the turnover is going to keep happening over the first few weeks. Even these existing clubs, I bet their squad's going to look different to what it did last season. It's going to be a lot of young local players, and it's gonna. I imagine in a month's time, it's going to be different for everybody. So, will those friendlies really matter that much? Possibly not. I know we're over-egging it, but I don't think I'm just disappointed that I'm going to go into the first league game of the season and I have no idea who any of these players are. and we haven't seen any of them yet. So we don't even get a touch on like, who's your favourite. Yeah, who's the I don't know. It's a weird one though, isn't it? It's a weird one.
It is, and maybe there's the financial side to sort of consider. So, is it that the trust are being a little bit cautious with the budget? Are they looking at what funds can we spend on better players, or is it that essential they're going to be promoting from the development system in the club? So therefore, they're looking more at the running costs rather than maybe even hosting games at home so far. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a mixture of the above, to be honest with you. If I had to like gun to my head, if I had to say, what's happened, it's a bit of a mixture. It's a new league. We've had those warm-up games booked in nice and early, and I don't think we've gone about getting stuff arranged. I mean, maybe again, I don't know. Maybe some agreements were made, and then maybe there was with the players in and out. Maybe we didn't have I don't know. It feels like a mixture of all of it. It's a bit of a shame. It feels like a bit of a missed opportunity, whether it's intentional or whether it's a cock-up. You got to remember, I suppose, you've got the chairman and Martyn Lee, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? There's no board here. There's no group of people, and there's a community trust, but they're not actively running the football club.
It's level 20. It's level 20 though. It's level 20. How hard can it really be?
That's what I'm saying. So there's no one. That's what I'm saying. So there's no team running the club here. It's just a couple of people. So maybe new football club. I can only imagine the paperwork that's still probably going on with all of that. Maybe it's literally just a case of some stuff's not happened as originally planned, and it's not been resorted. I don't know. Anyway, like I say, will it end up mattering? Who knows?
It takes a bit away from pre-season, though, doesn't it? Because you know what it's like. Before a season starts, there's the excitement, there's the buzz. You get down there, you pick the players that you like. You think they're going to be amazing. When the season pushes on, it turns out they're terrible, and by Christmas you hate their guts. But that's the fun of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I'm just excited to get a look at what the team looks like under Martyn Lee and his sort of background of being in the Football League. And it does show that we've got a manager in who knows the game very well at a professional level. So it'll be interesting to see how those new signings do sort of settle in, and just seeing how the fans and the team have a connection before the competitive games and fixtures start coming in.
Yeah, so let's move on to that then. Like for getting all, I think like we're all new to, and everyone around really, Bearford Rangers is new to the level. Everyone will have had an existing connection with football before, and everyone's here for various different reasons. But ultimately, it's a purity of a fresh start. So we're new to the level. We know it's lower, and we're probably used to things even at like a non-league level. And just because we're bowled in here with like a fresh new stadium that can host a couple of thousand people and all of this sort of thing, does that mean we're going to get more than 100 people there at the start? Like probably not. Even with the attention on the project, it's still that level of football. There's still going to be people watching from afar. Like, is this, am I paying a couple of quid for a ticket here, like, or am I just going to a field to watch the same standard or better of football? You don't know. So anyway, we'll find out, won't we? It's just, I think it's a shame because it's all new that we've just not had a peak yet, and we're all excited, right? So, but anyway, it's not long to wait now. Our first game against very amateurs under 21s is on the horizon. Let's talk about the little bit that we do know, shall we? Martyn Lee. What do you reckon, Joe? It's a good pedigree, right, for this sort of level.
You'd hope so, and having that Football League experience, in terms of the setup and the mindset of a football club, and I think that stems down to whichever level of football that you're playing, having someone with that experience to bring in that know-how, I think is going to be absolutely vital as we go through to that first season. A real footballing man in charge of footballing proceedings who spent his whole life within the beautiful game.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, no disrespect at all, because we don't know how this is going to go. So eventually you'd imagine that people around this sort of level are going to be looking at us as like big time Charlies, like these sorts of projects aren't particularly popular when you start with a bigger infrastructure, or for whatever reason, it's like when there's a bit of spending or a bit of money relative to the level. Let's not be fooling ourselves that there's loads of money about, but it's always looked on as a bit of a team to beat, and people look to put you back in your place. But yeah, no disrespect, but most of the managers for this level are going to be like basically Sunday League managers or players trying to, do you know what I mean? Like young coaches trying to get stuff. I can't imagine there's going to be many teams at this level, unless they're youth teams or whatever, bigger clubs, that are going to have any sort of history in the game at all in from Saturday pyramid football point of view. So I was expecting a local fella who looks after a kids team in Bearford or something to be the first manager, to be honest. So to get someone that's actually played a bit at a decent level and done a bit of coaching as well, that's setting standards, right, Scott? Like surely that'll help with recruitment as well.
This says to me that whatever is going on behind the scenes that obviously we don't know, a manager of that standards come in at a level that, no disrespect to the level, but on paper they're above that. So that says to me there's something behind the scenes that they've really bought into, and that is something for us to clutch onto. It's something for me it's something that makes me hopeful for what's coming from this. If someone's dropped down to that standard, because that means there's a project building there that someone with pedigree believes in.
Yeah, and no one's getting paid here, right? So
no.
There's got to be a bit of a belief in. Got to be a bit of a belief in the process. I think that moves nicely actually onto what expectations. The Bearford Bugle, local. I don't know if it's a rag. I don't know if it's any good. We'll see. We're all new to the town, right? But Joe, you'll delve into that a bit. But they've got a second, right? And that seems to be the consensus, that it's pretty clear that Earlham Steel reserves are runaway winners for whatever reason. Stuff at this level changes loads, so I wouldn't expect that to stick, to be honest. But I'm not surprised that we're second. It's nice to see, I suppose, and there's a little bit of pressure. But given like the infrastructure, I mean, who else has got a ground to play in like ours and a bit of money in the bank, even without wages and stuff like that? Like the attention on it already gives you a bit of a boost. It makes you a target. But like for me, you got to be going for promotion this season without being sort of over the top. And I'm not saying like, if we don't, then it's all doom and gloom. But you got to rise up the levels as quickly as you can, right? To try and find a sort of level that you're happy to sit at for a bit before you build it. Feels like these right down here, step 16 of non-league, there's some ambition. So whereas there'll be patience, I think, from the fans, there's expectation. And for me, I'm hoping before I've seen a ball kicked or any player, with two teams going up, that's what I'm looking at, to be honest. I don't think we can be aiming for any less, can we?
No, I agree with that. Absolutely, promotion is the key for the club. And when you put into perspective the local area, being the only club in Bearford in a medium-sized town, you'd expect that the local population, there's bound to be some good footballers out there, whether they are in the youth academy or whether they are in their 20s and 30s. It's a beautiful town, and maybe some old professional footballers will come here to retire and play out the last years of their career in somewhere like Bearford. So there's always that little chance and that hope that we could have in the future. But absolutely, it's got to be promotion.
That's a good point. That I talked about this in my squad update. These players, obviously, that we've signed since the trials. You've got a couple of profiles there, haven't you? You've got the likes of Lewis Inglis, who's still, he's 20, and there's a couple of other players like this as well, where they've sort of come from a decent, football league academy, and lots of players. This happens with lots of players, right? And they dropped to non-league, but are looking to sort of maybe kickstart their career. Could hopefully play at a higher level, but maybe like there's a lot more attention on this project than there is for most teams several levels higher. So is this a good place for them to sort of find a move back to a level that they should be playing at? Could be over egging them a bit there, or you've got players that perhaps have been around a bit but haven't really settled anywhere, haven't really managed to drill down like a starter. But Michael Donlandstrom comes to mind, the keeper we've signed, played for a bunch of clubs, but the amount of attendances officially listed on his his record is pretty low, because I can only assume he's been a number 2 everywhere, or something like that. So again, hopefully, has he dropped down a few levels to sort of try and get a spot somewhere and restart? I mean, I think he's 33, so is he trying to make the best of what he's got left in his career? So yeah, I think like that. You're right. There's plenty of scope, hopefully, for us to drag some players in that really are too good for the level and try and bounce up quickly. I mean, I might live to eat those words, but
it all feeds into my same sort of thoughts on the manager, that at this level you're going to take a player dropping down 3-4 levels because they just need to get some first team football under the belt. They're in the 30s. They've played for 10-15 different clubs and only ever played a handful of games. If we can benefit from that, and we've got players that are willing to drop down because there's this mysterious sort of game plan in the background that at the moment we haven't quite figured out, and they're all buying into it, then it's win-win for us, is it not? Take it, roll on. I mean, it's like at non-league, players are in and out the door constantly. We've already seen that. So if we can get someone of a decent standard here for 2-3 months and we benefit from that, then it's win-win.
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to get used to, and it is... legends don't take long to form at clubs down at this level, because you don't typically keep players for years and years. They move around, especially if the club is looking to move up the leagues a little bit. Right, so let's talk about some of those players then before we end this. Elephant in the room, I suppose, Henry Cull. You've just talked about why it's not that big a deal. I talked about it in my sort of reaction to the news as well, that he'd moved on. He's one of 7 players that have left already. This happens, it's pre-season. This happens way up the leagues as well, right? Almost to the Football League, where players sign and then they leave. But I don't know if he was any good. We've got no idea. But if you've been named captain, the manager thinks that you've got something, right? You're the starting centre back in whatever formation. You're captain, and all right, you've moved and you've jumped up some 10 levels. Although since I've looked at the reaction, looking into it a little bit more, I suspect he'll be playing for Basildon Town reserves, who are not 10 levels up, but still a jump up. But frustrating though to lose whoever what the manager assumes is one of your better players anyway, early doors.
I mean, it's always frustrating to lose players regardless, isn't it? But I wonder whether it's a bit easier to take, because we don't know these players, we've not seen them play, we don't know anything about them. At face value, for us, it's it's just a name, isn't it? Yes, okay.
He's a big Estonian centre back, Scott. It's a bit exciting. All Football Manager fans out there, you love it at the lower level. Bit of an exciting, just non-standard English lad, right? He's a big Estonian centre half. Henry Cull, captain.
You're right.
He just stood out, right?
But I mean, using the same reference, I mean, rule number 1 for Football Manager FM: don't fall in love with your transfers, because they'll break your heart. It's rule number 1. I get it, but we know nothing about him, and everything happens for a reason. Can the grass be greener? Because at the moment we don't even know what the grass looks like. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's probably a bit of a frustration for Martyn Lee. I imagine he wouldn't have named him captain if he. I suppose you never know if anyone's a flight risk, Joe, but he must have thought that he would be here at least for a bit if he's named him captain. That must have been the vibe that he's got. But then I suppose, did he expect an offer at all, given that none of the trialists that signed up had any sort of history in the game at all? They've all just played locally and Sunday League and stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and you never know what goes on behind the scenes. Is it something that's happened behind the scenes that we don't know about that's caused this situation? So for me, it's an interesting one. But we'll sort of. It's the same with all non-league football, I guess. You've got the 7-day rule to approach players, and then they can just leave. So has that come into play? I don't know.
Being honest, I don't even know if that applies down this level.
No, it probably doesn't.
Semi-pro, it's amateur, so I don't even know if there's that. I don't even know. So it's one of them, and it, like you say, it's nothing to get bent out of shape about. But yeah, we've seen 6 players come in. Obviously, we don't have too much of a view on them either, but they are all players that have got some playing experience in the pyramid, all much higher, which is good. so they've got a bit of experience. Is it, like you said, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes? Are there signings, you hope, looking at the size of the squad and some of the gaps positionally? Are there conversations for more signings in that, some of the players are a bit... Anyway, I suppose there's no point speculating. Last thing then, Cull's replacement as captain. He was vice-captain. He's the only player that anyone around the club seems to be talking about with any sort of degree of a little bit of knowledge, and that's Jordan Turley. New captain. He's from Bearford. From what it sounds like, exciting young sort of wide player on the right hand side. He's already been billed as sort of by a distance our best player. He's the one that I'm excited to see. Obviously, is it the same for you guys? Is there anyone else there that sort of jumps out at you just because?
I think it's difficult to make too much comment at the moment. I mean, the main test for us is that first league game, isn't it? I mean, I've got to get down there. I've got to have a look at the players and decide who I do and I don't like. I need to get that emotional attachment to the players we've got, and I think that's going to be getting down there and seeing that first game, because it's what we've already touched on. That's what normally I'd use a bit of pre-season for or whatever, but we've not got that. So do I think it's exciting that the manager's got someone he can fall back on straight away? And if that's a young player, then you're talking about a young player that's got so much promise that they're chucked straight in as captain, albeit second choice, but you know what I mean, then that is exciting. But I think I've got to get down to that first game and form some opinions and see them in person.
I think he's about 25, but I take your point. It's his first. I keep saying proper club, like it's his first pyramid club. I wonder where the buzz comes from. Is it locals that maybe have seen him Sunday League? Is he known sort of as a decent footballer? What do you reckon, Joe? Have you seen anything?
The only person that sort of stands out to me is Jordan Turley, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm all about the technical side. I love players who can spray a ball around the pitch, and if you've got someone who can play to complement that, that's something to really look forward to and look out for on the pitch.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't know what. All I know that he's a right-sided player. I don't know if he can play anywhere else. I don't know if he's a proper winger, if he likes to cut it. We don't know yet, do we? We don't know how Martyn Lee's gonna line up either. So that'll be really interesting. Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to come out before this or after this. Got a match preview coming up where I've had a stab at guessing the side. It's based on very, very little. Some of it is, as far as I'm aware from what the club have told us, we've only got one player in those positions. Some we don't. So I don't know. Catch that if you haven't already. Otherwise, guys, get yourselves in the comments. What do you think? Is Jordan Turley the one for you? As the club cocked up, not having a proper pre-season for us fans to get down to, or is it irrelevant because of some of the stuff we've touched on? Get yourselves in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you soon for that first game.